So what you might not realize is how big this whole Nephilim scenario is. And so I'm just going to use this as a quick example of that. Nephilim or demigods are not subject just to Greek and Roman mythology. You can see it here, and I'm just going to go quickly down the list. We're not going to go through every one of them. Every one of these are a Nephilim, or as you know, a demigod. So this is under the Greek mythology right here. Every one of these, so we've got them in the Greek, obviously. We've got them in the Egyptian mythology. We've got them in the Roman mythology, African mythology, Philippine mythology. I mean, we can keep going. Nephilim are everywhere. They're literally everywhere. They were everywhere. And for some reason, you only hear about Hercules or one or two stories that make it popular on TV or movie, and it's called mythology. But what you don't know is the ancient world was covered in it. Covered in it. And the Bible confirms it. So, just wanted to give you a quick glance at that. They're all over the place. Now, let's go back down to here. So, we're going to pause there because I wanted to make sure that we all had an understanding of what we're dealing with. Now we're going to get into scriptures. So, let's see. Let's start with you, Lee. Could you bring us 2 Peter 2:4? We're going to find out how these Nephilim even came into play, where they came from.
For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment.
Okay. Maybe I should pop that up there for you guys. There we go. And you read King James, right?
Yeah.
So, for God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. Can anyone here comfortably say that they're talking about Satan and his fallen angels? Take a good close look at that verse and what it says. Let me ask you, does Satan run rampant throughout the entire Bible and his angels deceiving people?
Yeah.
So again, who are these people? These guys are locked up until Judgment Day. These guys aren't running rampant. These guys aren't all over the place. Who are these guys? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So these guys are locked all the way down in chains of darkness to be reserved unto Has Judgment Day happened? So who are these guys? Right? We still wondering what's going on here. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this verse. We're going to break this verse down and we're going to go into the Greek. And we're going to take a closer look at a couple words that we see happening here. So, let me bust into the Greek here. If for God, the angels, having sinned, not spared, but in chains of gloomy darkness, having cast them down into what? What's that? What is that? That's Tartarus, right? Yeah, Tartarus, if I'm saying that correctly. What is that? Has anyone ever heard of that, Tartarus? But I thought we read it just a minute ago. It said hell. How come the word changed? I got a news flash for you. The word hell isn't in the Bible anywhere, actually. There's multiple words that they use to cover up the word hell, just like Yahweh, how you didn't see it. They used Lord to cover it up. Word hell doesn't exist, not in the Bible, anywhere.
Really?
In the Old Testament, it's Sheol that they cover it up with. Sheol just means dirt. Everyone goes to hell in that case. We all, what's the Bible say? Ash to ash, dust to dust, came from the dirt, return back to the dirt. We all go to hell. The question is do you resurrect when Christ returns for you? That's the question. Do you get out of hell? Do you leave hell? In fact, and we've talked about this in the past, Peter, hell isn't the lake of fire. It's the dirt. Because what do we see in Revelations? Hell will be thrown into the lake of fire. So don't claim hell's a lake of fire. No one's going to hell and burning in hell. Hell will be thrown into the lake of fire in the future. Hell is not the lake of fire. So here we see it as Tartarus. We also see a connection to Greek mythology. Coincidence? Do we believe in coincidences? I don't think so. You know what I mean? Our God never stops working. Isn't that what the Bible says? No such thing as coincidence. No such thing. So what is Tartarus? I did put this here as a little example. So this is the Britannica Encyclopedia. Tartarus, the infernal regions of ancient Greek mythology. Oh, so Greek mythology is fake. Why are they using Greek mythology terms that's fake in the Bible if it's not real, right? The name was originally used for the deepest region of the world, the lower of the two parts of the underworld, where the gods locked up their enemies. It gradually came to mean the entire underworld. So, blah, blah, blah. Greek mythology being quoted in your Bible that we can't necessarily claim as fake if we truly believe what the Bible says. Well, it doesn't say that. Well, it does in the original language. They didn't speak in English. You know what I'm saying? So, it does say that, actually. All right. Now, Peter, could you go to Jude 1:6?
Let's see. The angels too, who did not keep to their own domain, but deserted their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains and gloom for the judgment of the great day.
Huh. So here we get another verse that's confirming the Peter verse we just had. And so these angels didn't stay where they were supposed to, decided to come down and do what they wanted to, which in turn got them in trouble, and then got them locked up for eternity until judgment. Now, we just saw two passages in the Bible that confirm this. Neither have mentioned Satan. Neither have mentioned evil spirits that are turning you astray or anything like that. It just talks about angels that left their first domain, and I'm reading the King James, and the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness into the judgment of the great day. So here we have more confirmation in your Bible that there is a batch of angels who have been locked up that are not running rampant and deceiving people and tricking people, that are locked up until judgment. That's that. There's no way to get around those two verses. No one can claim it's Satan because we know Satan is working constantly to deceive mankind. So that's not what we're dealing with here. Okay. So I'm going to jump into Enoch, and I'm going to be going deeper into Enoch as we go, but because this verse is very relevant, it's time that I'm going to pull it right now. So Enoch, this is going to be chapter 10, verse 11. So that is going to be... And the Lord said unto Michael, Go bind Semjaza and his associates who have united themselves with women, so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanliness, and with their sons have slain one another. So, Book of Enoch just told you why those angels are locked up. What did the Enoch just tell you? Why are they locked up? Because they're sleeping with women. Now, you're going to be like, whoa, that's blasphemy, dude. God's angels don't come down here and have sex with women and create offspring. We just saw two passages that said his angels are locked up until judgment day. Didn't give you a reason why, did it? It's interesting. All right, we're going to talk about another book called the Book of Jubilees. And so this is called, there's a couple names for it. Little Genesis. There's another name for it. It's not ringing a bell, but they call it like three different things. So, Jubilees is an interesting book. It is a 2nd century BC book, around 200, 100 BC, also found within the Dead Sea Scrolls, which is extremely important because most of the Dead Sea Scrolls we're finding are dating back even further than that. So, adding a little bit more credibility to it. We're going to look at Jubilees 5, 1 through 2. And it came to pass when the children of men, now keep in mind I have all these books here. Everything we're going into is right here. So this isn't just random websites that we're going on to that we're looking for random stuff. And it came to pass that when children of men began to multiply on the face of the earth and daughters were born unto them, that the angels of God saw them on a certain year of this Jubilee, that they were beautiful to look upon, and they took themselves wives of all whom they chose, and they bare unto them sons, and they were giants. And lawlessness increased on the earth, and all flesh corrupted its way, alike men, and cattle, and beasts, and birds, and everything that walketh on the earth. So Jubilees has something pretty drastic to tell you there, doesn't it? Angels came down, men were having daughters, angels took whatever daughters they want and created an offspring called giants. Well, that's going to be your Hercules. That's going to be your men of renown, as we're going to find out the Bible tells us what they are. But that's going to be all the mythological characters that offspringed from this abomination that took place. So that's the Book of Jubilees. Now, we're going to take a deeper dive into the Book of Enoch. All right, so The oldest portion of the Book of Watchers is called the Book of Watchers, which is inside of the Book of Enoch. Mind you, the Watchers is a title for these fallen angels that came down and intermingled with women. It's the title that's used throughout the Book of Enoch. And many have said, well, the name of the Watchers isn't in the Bible. Wrong. The name of the Watchers is in one of the most important sections of the Bible, and that would be the Book of Daniel, where Daniel looks up and says, and I saw a holy one and a watcher come down. It didn't call the Watcher a holy one. That's interesting. So, Simon points it out. That's in the book of Daniel, and Daniel's a great prophet. So is Isaiah, as we've discussed in the past. So, found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, they found a Hebrew and Aramaic versions, Aramaic being slightly older. They have recently found also Greek and Latin versions. Enoch is also mentioned in the Bible as the seventh from Adam. Who is Enoch? I'll read that for you. That's going to be Genesis 5:24. Just a brief verse here. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Well, he's popular enough for God to get him out of the problem and walk with him in ancient times, right? So Enoch walked with God, which, mind you, don't take that too literal. The only people that ever walked on foot with God, and it did happen, Adam and Eve. Why? Pre-sin. It will never happen now. Never happen. The only way it would is if God became a man, sound familiar, and then walked with you. That's the difference. We don't walk with God no more because you can't be in the presence of the Father in the spirit form, because God is spirit. What's the Bible tell us? God is spirit. We must worship him in the spirit. We cannot walk with God in the spirit. We're dead instantly. That's why it's a mercy call. Why were they kicked out of the garden? For more than just one reason that you're told. Oh, they were kicked out of the garden because they were bad. They were kicked out of the garden because they couldn't be there or they'd be dead. Just that simple. You can't be in the presence of God and sin, or you're dead. Just that simple. This is how we know no one's talking to God in the Old Testament, or they're dead. This is why Moses was in fear when the bush spoke out, and he hid his face because he knew he couldn't see the face of God. So this isn't something that I'm just making up. They know it. Let's see here. So we're going to take a look at Jude. Are you still in Jude? If so, take us to Jude 1:14, Peter.
Oh. Enoch of the seventh generation from Adam prophesied also about them when he said,
and you can go ahead. Go ahead. What did he say?
Behold, the Lord has come with his countless holy ones to execute judgment on all and to convict everyone for all the godless deeds that they committed, and for all the harsh words.
Sounds an awful lot like Yahweh now.
Uttered against him, yes.
Now we're dealing with Yahweh, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is Jude. And did he not just talk about Enoch?
Oh, yeah.
And did he quote Enoch?
Yes.
He quoted Enoch, right?
Well, maybe Enoch knows.
So we're going to compare Jude 1:14 to Enoch 1:9. Let's see here. And behold, he cometh with 10,000 of his holy ones to execute judgment on what? Is he directly quoting the book of Enoch? I think he is. And behold, he cometh with 10,000 of his holy ones to execute judgment upon all and to destroy all the ungodly and to convict all flesh and of the works of the ungodliness. He's quoting the book of Enoch. Mm-hmm. Do we find the book of Enoch credible yet, or should we still not look at it? Apparently, Jude found it credible enough to quote, right? Maybe Jude isn't worthy of our time. Maybe we shouldn't be reading Jude then. No, he's quoting the book of Enoch. There's no argument here. So now that we've... Go ahead.
So Jude just went to the library and got the book of Enoch.
What it tells you, even more so than that, is how credible the topic is during that time period. This is a common topic. See, for us, it's not common. It's hush-hush. Don't talk about that. So here's the thing. Sure, there's arguments that no, that's not the case. And then there's arguments what's the case, but we don't talk about it. Okay, so I would say it's safe to say that we all feel comfortable with the book of Enoch. It holds some credibility if Jude's quoting it. And we've already proven the verses match to the other verses that we found with the angels that were locked up. Now, we're going to take a look at Enoch 6:1-3. And maybe you'll recall the Jubilee verse we just read. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw the lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Semyaza, who was their leader, and said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed. So basically, Semyaza is like the head of this little group of angels that want to do this little dirty deed. And so Semyaza's down for it, but he's like, I'm afraid you guys aren't going to go all in with me. I'm afraid, like, we need to make a pact right now, so when it goes down, I'm not the only dude taking the heat. So that's basically what goes on, if you were to read a little further in the Book of Enoch. Anyone that's interested in the Book of Enoch, it's readily available. You can get it off Amazon. You get a copy for like $15. Let's see here. And they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells. How big is 3,000 ells? So this is the Book of Enoch, but how big is 3,000 ells? Are you guys ready for this? So this is the kids pre-flood, okay? Pre-flood, not current era, not Moses era, but pre-flood. 3,000 ells is 4,500 feet tall. Giants. Huge, and I would argue they were huge. I mean, if we just confirm that mythology is, and so we're not there yet, but they were massive, rest assured, and they were terrifying. And they were massive, not as big after the flood. So, 4,500 feet. That's massive. And I'm thinking, yeah, and the guy who created dinosaurs in his imaginary world was making stuff up too. Why would you even think something like that? What kind of fairy tales are you teaching me today? So you believe in that? You believe in that? You believe that a lizard could be 125? Oh, no? Dinosaurs must be a myth too. 122-foot Tyrannosaurus. So if you are this little guy here trying to convince me that that's a lizard? Yeah. Yeah. You see why we might have, or maybe we don't believe in dragons. Of course, if you lived in ancient times and saw that coming breathing up by your face, you might second guess what a dragon is. Right? That seems reasonable. So before we go 4,500 feet tall, we'd have to discredit all dinosaurs. Are we ready to discredit all dinosaurs tonight? After the flood, that all changes. And I'm going to explain why, and there's a couple reasons why. Primarily, whether or not it's taking place, angels aren't having sex with women anymore to the extreme that they were pre-flood, even if they are at all. Okay, I'm just going to put that out there. Even if they are at all. So how do you keep the Nephilim coming? Interbreeding, right? What happens? Dumb down, dumb down, dumb down, dumb down, to the point where they don't look normal anymore. They don't look giant. They don't even look normal. Sure, they're not 4,000 feet. They're still big. We're going to see that in the Bible. They're still big, but they're not the same as they were pre-flood. So to get rid of the giant, we had to just wipe the whole dinosaur scenario. We're just going to have to get rid of it all. All right. Who here knows who Josephus is? Well, if you read my little notes up there. So Flavius Josephus, very famous historian, which is why I'm surprised no one here has really heard of him. Very famous historian. If you talk to anyone of the church or anyone in the scholar circles, everyone knows who Josephus is. Let's see what he has to say in arguably his most important works. We have that right here. This is verse 1, chapter 73, or chapter 1, verse 73. And so we're going to be backtracking, but we're going to hit this one first. Let's see what he says. For many angels of God accompanied with women and begat sons. Uh-oh. We got some more facts coming our way. Keep in mind, this is a history book. This isn't a book that you brought to church with you with your Bible. It's a history book. For many angels of God accompanied with women and begat sons that proved unjust and despisers of all that was good, and on account of the confidence they had in their own strength. And for the tradition is that these men did what resembled the acts of those whom the Grecians called the giants. What's this word mean? Anyone know what that word means? Greeks. Oh, do we have another tie back to the mythology again? From Josephus, from the Book of Enoch, from your own Bible. We keep getting tie-ins to the mythology that supposedly is fake. That's neat. I thought it was fake. Why do we keep quoting fake things to enhance the Bible? Maybe it's not fake, right? So here you have Josephus going, wow, what those angels did with those women, their kids looked a lot like what the Greeks were talking about that were giants from ancient times. Imagine that. Imagine those connections. Okay. So you get confirmation from a history book that multiple books, not even just your Bible, are right. Right? That's what we're seeing. So now we're going to hit the Bible, and things are going to get juicy, because you could basically be like, Matt, you've only read 2 verses of the Bible. How do we know any of this is in the Bible? Lee, hit us with Genesis 6, 1 through 2.
And it came to pass when men began to
Hold
multiply.
on. Any of this sound familiar yet? Good.
When men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose.
Still mythology? Oh, no, that's not talking about angels. It said sons of God. Pete, hit us with Genesis 6:4. What was the outcome of this? That's the Nephilim.
The Nephilim appeared on earth in those days as well as later, after the sons of God had intercourse with the daughters of human beings who bore them sons.
Mythology still fake?
They were the rulers of old, the men of renown.
Men of renown, right? Hercules, all the great men of renown characters that Josephus said, man, sounded an awful lot like those Grecians that were talking about the giants. And here you have Genesis 6 reciting the same thing you just read in Enoch, the same thing you read in Jubilees. Josephus confirms it in a historical book. Can't really get around that at all.
Here's an opinion. You know, they have opinions.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know they do.
In some cultures, such as heroes can be made positive contributions, but the Bible generally regards them in a negative light.
Nephilim aren't good. They're abominations. We were made in God's image. Did God make the Nephilim? Doesn't sound like it, does it?
No.
Nephilim came from the offspring of angels, and not just it wasn't like they had a healthy relationship, okay? But it wasn't like, man, they really like each other. And it came to pass when men, we clearly see the word men there, began to multiply on the face of the earth, that daughters, so we're talking about men and we're talking about daughters, were born unto them. That the sons of God saw the daughters of men, and they were fair, and they took them wives of all whichever they chose. It wasn't like, hey, do you think I'm hot? Yeah, I think you're hot. Yeah, you think I'm hot? Let's go out for coffee. No, they came down and was like, you're mine, mine. Let's go have kids, and then they'll run this place. That's what happened. It isn't a good thing. So the commentary is not wrong.
Yeah, I know.
The commentary is not wrong. Peter, could you read Deuteronomy 1:28?
Well, we shall meet with up there. Our men have made our hearts melt by saying the people are bigger and taller than we, and their cities are large and fortified to the sky. Besides, we saw the Anakim there.
They're not trying to go there, are they? These are whoever these people are. They're not interested in being a part of whatever's going on over there, right? These aren't normal people we're dealing with. Goliath wasn't a normal person, okay? These giants aren't normal, and the only way to be not normal is to be outside of the realm of what God created, right? This is outside of out of the realm of what God created. So these are not normal individuals, and normal wouldn't have them terrified. So you read Anakim. Lee, can you read for us, and I'll pop it up there for you, just so you can do some scripture. Numbers 13:28. I'll give you. There.
Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there.
Anak. So the children of Anak, and that's going to be Numbers. And in Deuteronomy, they call them the descendants of the Anakim. You heard that name twice now. Reference slightly different. So here we have more reference here that they are terrified of these people, and they're the descendants of this Anakim. Let's see here. This is, yeah. Daniel, you ready?
Sure.
Numbers 13:32. And that's going to be through 33. So 32 through 33.
And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature.
Next
and
verse.
there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants. And we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight.
They were in their sight as what? Are they big? I mean, we're not in other books now. We're in the Bible. It's okay to get comfortable. So Are we still going to hold on to this is a bad generation of Seth kids making out with a bad generation of Cain girls and they created just jerks? No, these are massive people. They're huge. This is not something minor we're dealing with here. Okay, then we're going to jump down to, and I'll hit you guys with Numbers 14, 1 through 4. And this is a big read, so I'm going to read this whole deal here. Numbers 14, 1 through 4. And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron, and the whole congregation said unto them, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would God we had died in the wilderness? What is he saying here? What is he saying here? What is he actually saying in that verse right there?
That it would have been better for them to have died.
Why did we leave with you? We should have never left with you. You're going to go get us killed. That's what he's saying. He's like, it'd have been better if we just stayed in Egypt. We got to eat. We had a place to sleep. We didn't have to worry about the Nephilim. Like, this is a big deal to these people. This isn't minor. This is a big deal to these people. Okay? Let me continue with the verse here. That's 2, and then we'll go to 3 here. And wherefore hath the Lord brought us onto this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey? Were it not better for us just to return to Egypt? Verse 4. And they said to one another, let us make a captain and let us return to Egypt. Let's just ditch Moses, pick any one of you that wants to lead us. We're getting out of here. That's what just happened. This is a major deal. Is this just normal people that are popular? Men of renown? These people are terrified. They're ready to dump Moses and all the miracles they've seen to go back to Egypt to be slaves because they're not prepared for that there. Why? Because the common consensus of that time, the argument that cannot be argued, is that these are the offspring of the fallen angels that became massive and were eating people and all kinds of stuff. We'll get into those texts too. They were eating people. They destroyed everything. They were killing themselves. They were killing people because of their grandeur and their massiveness. It was very easy to enslave people, and when they didn't do it, they said they ate them. It didn't matter. You know what I mean? You're watching Jack and the Beanstalk going, oh, I'm not cute. You have no idea. I'm not cute about it. You know, they turned them into these fairy tale stories. I mean, that's what all this stuff is. I mean, even all your fairy tales, Mary had a little lamb, his fleece was white as snow, wherever. What is that talking about? It's Jesus, Mary. I mean, all your fairy tales are spins of ancient cultures or religions and all that jazz. So, and you'll see that the more you get into the study of it. So, can it be argued that these people aren't terrified of just basic people? These people are terrified. They're ready to dump all the things they saw, fire and hail coming out of the sky, people dying from plagues and diseases, because they don't want to touch that. Well, I'll pick a different leader before we go with you, bro. There's no argument there. So, let's take a look at this. Genesis 19:1. And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them. And he bowed himself and his face toward the ground. And he said, behold, now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned into him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread. So the angels, they wanted to chill. They wanted to sit in town hall. Like, we're not gonna spend the night at your place. We're gonna hang out right in the middle of town hall, and we're gonna do our thing. So, and he's like, please, just don't stay out there. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, come past the house around, both old and young, all the people from every quarter, and they called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men which came into thee this night? Who are they looking for? Who are those guys looking for? They're looking for those angels? I mean, there's plenty of people in that house. Why are they looking for the angels? Looking for the angels, right? Where are the angels that you brought into the house with you, bro? Where are the men which came in with thee last night? Bring them out onto us so that we may know them. What's the word know them mean in the Bible? Anyone familiar with the term know them? Let me clear it up for you. And Eve knew Adam and had a child. These guys wanted to know those angels. And I'd say that's pretty clear what's going on here, right? And we're going to confirm it. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us that we may know them. You're thinking, oh, it's a simple gathering. Oh, they just want to hang out and have tea. And Lot went out at the door onto them and shut the door after him and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. It ain't wicked to just know somebody. So we're not talking about just knowing someone, right? It's making it very clear. That's not a wicked act, isn't I now met Brian. I now know Daniel. That's not a wicked act, right? A wicked act is the knowing they're talking about, which is sex. Don't do such a wicked act, they said to him. Let's see here. Look, I have 2 daughters. Oh, come on. Come on, man. And it gets better. Watch this. It's not just 2 daughters. 2 daughters should just be simple. It's way deeper than that. I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Why is that so important? Dude, these girls aren't even defiled. These are what any family back then would consider perfect. He's ready to give up his own clean daughters so that they won't mess with the angels. Unless anyone here sees something different that I don't. I'd say that's clear. Let's see what goes on next. Things are getting crazy now. And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came into sovereign, and he needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them? And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. So they're trying to shove the door. I mean, these people want to have sex with these angels. I mean, he's ready to give them his clean daughters. And they're ready to break down the door. They're not worried about the girls. They want the angels. But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut the door. So Lot's standing in front of the door like this, and he's like, don't go in there. And they're shoving him and the door to get in, and they crack the door open, grab Lot, rip him into the friggin' building, and slam the door shut. And that's where we're at. A pretty action-packed scene, really. Like, if you put yourself into that, I mean, there's the whole town. At first it starts out with the men, then the men of the town, then the whole town is circulating around the building, and he's like standing out there like this on his door, right? And it's just getting crazy. And they smote the men that were there at the door of the house with the blindness, both small and great, so that they were wearied themselves to find the door. Oh, angels making people blind. There's something different. And this is the most important 2 words you've ever heard in Scripture to connect a story that you've ever seen. The very first 2 words are even as. See that? So that's that's Jude 1:7. You see that in yours, Pete? Even as? Likewise. Even as. Same, right? Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after what? Strange flesh. Wait. What did the verse say right before that? What did the verse say right before it?
Chains.
And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the day, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh. Does this have to do with homosexuals or angels having sex with women? Why is it connecting both verses? Did you notice that? The angels that are locked up, no different than what was going on in Sodom and Gomorrah with those angels touching strange flesh. Are you familiar with what your flesh is like? You're familiar with your flesh, right? You're familiar with your flesh, but would you be familiar with strange flesh and angelic flesh? Would you be familiar with that? It'd be different. It'd be strange flesh. Here we can clearly see Jude, who has now quoted Enoch, which the entire book of Enoch is about the watchers who came down and mingled with women. He has quoted Enoch. He is now talking about Sodom and Gomorrah and connecting it even as the angels that came down and messed with the wrong thing. Now, let me make it very clear. The Bible does not promote homosexuality. But this story has nothing to do with attacking gays. At all. At all. Even as the angels who left and came down and intermingled with people. As so, Sodom and Gomorrah, the same scenario. Touching strange flesh. Has nothing to do with gays. You can make it gay. You can say, well, see, homosexuality. You can implement it. But really what it has to do with is immoral sex, period. It covers the whole banner. And what does that mean? That it was immoral that the angels came down and had sex with women. It's clear as day. Clear as day. Let's get a clear understanding of strange flesh. Lee. 1 Corinthians 15. Oops, I dropped the page there. 15, 39 through 40.
All flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds.
That's right. Was it man touching man? Let's go one more over. Here, before I even go into my spasm there. Boom, let's go one verse over. What's this one say?
There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial, but the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another.
They were doing what? Touching strange flesh. They weren't touching the normal stuff that they're familiar with. The terrestrial body is different than the celestial. Everything has a different style of flesh. Scripture has made it clear, and Sodom's story has been manipulated by churches for the centuries. It's talking about intermingling with angels, which is a massive no-no, such a no-no that angels are locked up until Judgment Day for it. Daniel, can you hit us with 1 Corinthians? This is a good one. 1 Corinthians 11, 8 through 9.
For the man is not of the woman, but the woman is of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man.
So what did that just tell you? What does that clearly state? Woman was made for man. Right? Woman, if you get anything out of that, no disrespect, but if you get anything out of that, woman was made for man. Right?
Yes.
I'm going to hit you with 1 Corinthians 11:10. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head. Why? Why again? Why should she cover her head?
Because of the angels.
Oh, I'm thinking we're clear, aren't we? Why do they cover their head? Why do you see all these women covering their head from ancient times? You got the what did it just say?
Because of the angels.
And why? Because it's the authority to show they're taken. Did we not just read that? Women are made for men. So you should wear the authority on your head because of the angels. So when you go back one, neither was man created for woman, but woman for man. And then why would it attach this to the very next verse? Because of this, woman ought to have authority on her head on the account of the angels. Women were made for man, not for angels. So when you wear the veil or the ring, it says this person's taken, don't touch.